Ice cream, waffles, chips. Who knew a high-protein diet could taste so good? Hi there, everyone. It's Jeff, and this is Plain English, where we help you upgrade your English with current events and trending topics. Today is Thursday, June 5th, 2025, and we are kicking off a theme for the month of June. And that theme is nutrition. So we'll have 3 stories about nutrition this month, starting with today. In today's episode, we'll talk about the latest trend toward high-protein diets and high-protein foods. If you walk through a grocery store today, you'll see the word protein on everything. Pizza, pasta, cereal, yogurt, higher protein milk, even soda. There's high protein soda. Protein is clearly having its moment, and not just on season 3 of The White Lotus. It's everywhere, and that's today's story. Why are we talking about protein on an English learning podcast? Well, that's exactly how you learn. It's how you learn new words and new concepts. And you can listen here and you can start talking about these issues in English right away. And that's the beauty of plain English. But this is learning, so we do have some exercises and resources for you. Start with the quiz, then maybe move on to the listening or pronunciation challenges. All that is at plainenglish.com/781. Go to that page, you'll see the transcripts and also the practice exercises. plainenglish.com/781. Protein is one of 3 macronutrients found in food. The others are fat and carbohydrates. All calories in food come from one of these 3 macros. Each gram of protein and each gram of carbohydrates has 4 calories. Each gram of fat has 9. Finding the right diet starts with getting the right number of calories. Then it's about splitting those calories among the 3 macronutrients, all while making sure you get enough fiber and micronutrients like vitamins. Fad diets usually take aim at one of these 3 macros. In the 1990s, America was swept with a low-carb craze. Dieters swapped out bread and pasta in favor of peanut butter and cheese cubes. A decade earlier, it was about reducing fat. Now, the newest trend in food is high protein. You can find protein everywhere. Animal meats are big sources of protein: chicken, turkey, beef, pork, and others. You can also get it from fish. White fish, like cod or halibut, is one of the most efficient natural sources of protein you can find. Not your thing? Dairy is another option. Yogurt, eggs, cheese, and good old-fashioned cow's milk can boost your protein intake. You can get protein from plants. Soybeans, edamame, and chickpeas are great sources. Protein is also in oats, lentils, beans, and quinoa. But for some people, that's not enough. Gym goers and bodybuilders have long added protein powder to shakes and have snacked on dry, bad-tasting protein bars. But now, high protein is coming out of the gym and going mainstream. There are two ways you see this in the grocery store. First, you see more of the traditional high-protein foods. Cottage cheese is a great example. 10 or 20 years ago, low-fat cottage cheese was almost a byword for unappetizing food. It's the sort of thing people would eat on a diet, and not a day longer. Not anymore. Refined recipes and better branding have made cottage cheese officially cool. A market research firm estimates that in the US, sales of cottage cheese are up 50% over just a few years ago. I eat it the old-fashioned way, with a spoon directly out of the tub. But others blend it with fruit, add it to smoothies, spread it on pita bread, and mix it with scrambled eggs. Other naturally high-protein foods are also becoming more popular. Sales of Greek yogurt, beef jerky, and chickpeas are also increasing these days. Even the humble glass of cow's milk is coming back. In the US, fluid milk sales had declined every year for 15 years until the trend reversed in 2024. New ultra-filtered varieties offer higher percentages of protein and are often easier to digest. The other way you see the protein fad in the grocery store is with protein-enhanced products. Here, food manufacturers add protein to other foods that aren't normally high in protein. Most big food companies, like Nestle and Conagra, are adding business units, product lines, or special labels just for protein-enhanced products. Nestle, for example, created a line of products called Vital Pursuit, many of which are protein-enhanced. A 360-calorie frozen pizza has 33 grams of protein. That's about twice as much protein as its standard frozen pizza would have for the same number of calories. Mars even makes a high-protein chocolate bar with 20 grams of protein in 378 calories. And startups are getting in on the action too. Protein Pints is a protein-enhanced ice cream. It has 10 grams per 160 calories. Feisty Soda says on its website that soda just got a protein upgrade. A can of its green apple and lime soda has 67 calories and 10 grams of protein. You can also find protein-enhanced chips, waffles, and cookies. If you think you're seeing the word protein everywhere, you're not the only one. An analysis in the US found that in 2024, food makers introduced 97 new products with the word protein in the title. That's double the amount of the year before. But nutrition experts advise being careful about these protein-enhanced foods. If your main source of protein is ice cream and waffles, then you're getting your protein from highly processed sources, and that comes with its own problems. And besides, not every gram of protein is created equal. Natural sources of protein often have a more complete amino acid profile, meaning they're higher quality sources. And protein is not the only story in a person's diet. A protein pizza doesn't have many of the other micronutrients that a healthy meal has. For most people, it's probably better to have a moderate amount of protein and to get it from higher quality sources. Exactly how much do you need, though? The World Health Organization says the minimum is 0.83 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. That's pretty low. Bodybuilders, on the other hand, usually aim for between 1.6 and 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Most people who are aiming for general health can shoot for something in between those two ranges. You can't really get hurt by eating too much protein, but there's no additional benefit from consuming more than you need, more than your body uses for maintaining or building muscle mass. And in case you're wondering, you can't stock up on protein. Unlike carbs and fat, your body has no way to store excess protein for later use. If you're trying to build muscle, it's probably better to get as much protein as possible, within reason. Of course, some people do take things a little too far, like one character on season 3 of The White Lotus. He was so obsessed with protein shakes that he took a blender with him on vacation. GLP-1 weight loss drugs are a big driver of this trend too. One of the concerns that doctors have is that if people lose their appetite on GLP-1 drugs, then they won't get enough protein. They won't eat enough. So when you go on GLP-1s, they often advise you to switch to high protein sources and vegetables. And that's part of the trend too. Now, if I am allowed, I would like to ask for one thing to come from this for me personally. I would like to ask for better, higher protein options in a convenience store. 2 months back, I was on a long drive in the US, and it's a long story, but I was hungry, I was in a hurry, I was in a gas station, and there was just no healthy option. And I read that food companies are experimenting with better varieties of pre-packaged snacks like just grilled chicken breast in a plastic wrapper. And that's what I want. I don't need extra protein in my waffles. I don't need a 378 calorie Mars bar with protein added. I don't need that. But if I can have a healthier, higher protein snack in a gas station or convenience store, then I would be very, very happy. So there you go. The first episode of our monthly theme of nutrition is in the books. A couple of notes for you. We did an episode about highly processed food in January. That was number 739. So you can check that out at plainenglish.com/739. And then we have done a few on GLP-1 drugs. 660 and 661 were both about GLP-1 weight loss drugs. So you have a couple of days before the next Plain English. You might want to check those out too. Episodes 739, 660, and 661. All right, that's it for today. This was number 781. So the full learning resources for today's episode are at plainenglish.com/781. We'll be back to start off a new week on Monday. See you then.